Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another beautiful Tuesday story time with Mr. Tim. I've got something special for you all today because I've never done this before, but I think it's important that we always start all the story times with a memorable song. So I'm going to do it, and as the weeks go by, if we all learn it, we can all sing it together, and then I'll hear everybody in Charlestown singing it. Hello also to all of our friends who are out there in the whole country and the whole world. Hello, welcome. It is time for story time. Are you ready? And that's the title of the song. It's time for story time. It's time for story time. It's time for story time. Let's go to story time today. It's time for story time. It's time for story time with Mr. Tim today. It's time for story time. It's time for story time. Let's go to story time today. There's like 8 whole words in that whole song, but it's catchy, isn't it? It's to the tune of the old Howdy Doody theme song for those of you who might need to look that up. Anyway, good morning. Welcome. It is, like I said, a beautiful Tuesday here in Charlestown. Today we have stories, and the theme is knights, brave knights, the traditional knights with the suits of armor and the brave saving of the damsels in distress and fighting dragons and saving the villages and all of that exciting stuff that happens with knights. Did you know that when you see those old pictures and you'll see some drawings and images that artists have done in the books that we do, that the suits of armor that those knights wore were very, very heavy, a couple 100 pounds sometimes. So imagine you've got to fight a dragon or you're defending your kingdom, and it's like you can't even, your clothes are so heavy you feel like you're going to fall down. So knights were very, very, very strong. They could also be kind of funny because I've always got some great jokes. Why was Sir Lancelot always tired? Because he worked the night shift. Huh? That was a pretty good one, eh? All right, so I got some stories about knights. Lots of books. There were so many that we had at the library, so I just grabbed a few. But we have a lot of neat stories at the library. So moms and dads and grandparents and guardians and kids yourselves and older brothers and sisters, if you take your little ones to the library and you want to get some great stories about knights, we've got plenty, a lot more than what you're going to hear from me today. But I picked some really good ones I think you'll really enjoy. Again, just like we talk about with imagination stories and everything, a lot of times young people, boys and girls alike, like to pretend like they're back in those old days and be knights and defend the village and fight the dragons. Pardon me, but this is a good reminder. When it's 90-some degrees out and very humid, make sure you're staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water throughout the day. As always, any books that I read in my story times are books that I got right from the library, which means that you can check these out as well. I'll always give you the title and the author, and you can always give us a call. We'll put those on hold for you. Don't forget, we are still offering our service out there, so that if you have stuff on hold, you can come and pick it up. You don't even have to come in the library. But if you want to, we've seen some great families the last few weeks. A lot of people coming in. We can only let 8 people into the building at a time, but when we have, a mom and like 3 or 4 little ones, or a grandma and 3 or 4 little ones, we're saying, "Hi, how you doing?" They're all wearing masks. Make sure you wear that mask. Cover the nose and the mouth. I don't have to wear a mask when I'm here doing story time because I'm in my house and there's nobody else around me. So it's safe for me to be here doing story time without a mask. Without a mouse? Ooh, that gives me an idea. Maybe we should do a story time about mice one day. Let me think on that one. All right, so if you're out there, feel free to give us a shout out, say hello. Love to talk to all of you. Love to hear from all of you. And who wants to hear the first story? Oh, okay. All right. Well, here comes the first story. This one is about a young man named Ryan, and it's called Sir Ryan's Quest. Ooh, quest. You know what a quest is? It's like a journey and an adventure, kind of all wrapped into one. They go on a quest and to search for something and seek something. So Sir Ryan's Quest. This one was written by Jason Diebel, and let's go ahead and get started. Ryan crawled into the kitchen cupboard one morning while still wearing his pajamas. Today, he was on a quest. The pots bumped and banged against each other. Outside, Ryan could hear his mother clean up for breakfast. He's hiding in the cabinet. Right this way, Ryan, said a spaghetti pot. The king has been expecting you. Sir Ryan, said the king of pots, you are a brave knight. I will assist you on your quest. Take this armor and find what you seek in the jungle on the mountain. And then, in his new suit of armor, Sir Ryan began his quest. He scaled the great mountain until he came to the deep, dark jungle where the air was thick and heavy and vines fell all around him. Who ventures into this uncharted wilderness? Asked a mysterious man perched in the branches overhead. Perhaps you have not heard that few return from my domain. Ooh, said Ryan. I am not afraid. His Majesty, the King of the Pots, has given me this suit of armor to keep me safe. I ask only for your help so that I may complete my quest. You are a brave knight, said the mysterious man. You must visit the castle at the foot of this mountain. But before you go, take with you this enchanted cape. All who see it will know my magic is with you on your quest. So there he is, giving him an enchanted cape. Sir Ryan thanked the mysterious man and climbed back down the mountain to find the castle. Beyond the castle gates, Sir Ryan saw only oily machines piled high on every side. Are you friend or foe? Asked the castle guard steely and square. None shall pass unless they have honorable intentions, said Ryan. My intentions are indeed honorable, good sir. I am Sir Ryan, and I am on a quest. Look upon my enchanted cape and know that I have faced great danger to visit your castle today. You are a most gallant knight, called the guard. You must go into the cave behind the kingdom and beneath the kingdom to find what you seek. But before you go, take with you this shield. It will keep you from harm. Sir Ryan thanked the guard and left to find the entrance to the cave. The mouth of the cave was dark and dank. Sir Ryan felt afraid, but he knew that a knight must be brave. Down he went into the darkness, hand over hand, inch by inch, step by step. In the cave beneath the kingdom, Sir Ryan found a moldy monster lurking in the shadows. Who has dared come into my cave? It asked in a low groan. Perhaps it is a meaty morsel for my lunch, said Ryan. Mighty beast, I'm afraid my shield would be too much for you to stomach. Maybe, rather than eat me, you could help me on my quest. Though I am hungry, I could never eat such a brave knight, sighed the boxy beast. I will help you on your quest. What you seek is not here. You must leave this cave, but before you go, take with you this sword and use it wisely, for it will protect you on your quest. Ryan thanked the beast, and then, hand over hand, inch by inch, step after step, he climbed out of the cave. Outside of the cave in the bright of day, he heard his mother. Where have you been, Ryan? Proudly he answered, I am Sir Ryan, and I have been on a quest. I met a king, climbed a mountain, explored a jungle, visited a castle, and went down into the deepest, darkest cave. Oh, you are a very brave knight, said his mother. A royal banquet will be held in your honor. She prepared his feast and gave him a hug. And Sir Ryan knew he had completed his quest. The end. Very sweet little story, huh? It just goes to show you you can have all kinds of adventures just around your house with things you find around your house. He was just using an old stick and what looks like one of his dad's shirts for a cape and pots and pans. But remember, children, always ask permission from mom and dad before you use their stuff, like their shirts and their pots and their pans, you know. Sometimes moms get really fussy about what you do with their pots and their pans. I know that. Who do we have out here? We have got good friends from the Charlestown Library, of course. We've got Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us this morning. Why do dragons sleep during the day? Anybody know why dragons sleep during the day? So they can fight nights. Huh? Get it? Yeah. Hey, don't forget, everybody, we've got a special reading program that's going on right now. We're just calling it, it's taking place in August, so we're calling it the August Reading Program, but it's really great. It's much like the old summer reading program, but if you go to our website and click on the links, you can register your children and sign up for the August Reading Program. We're going to have more prizes and for everybody who reads all the amount of minutes that they say they're going to read every week. We've already got several. We've got a lot of people actually registered already, so we're getting rolling on that. So what else is next? Another great story. This one is about a knight. Look at this guy. He's got a pretty tough looking guy, huh? This guy's named Horace. They call him Horace the Horrible. And this whole title of this book is Horace the Horrible, A Knight Meets His Match. This is by Jackie French Collar and illustrated by Jackie Urbanovic. So two Jackies were involved in this book, Jackie French Collar and Jackie Urbanovic. So Horace the Horrible, A Knight Meets His Match. Princess Minuet stared up at the name on the front door of her uncle's castle. "Is my uncle really horrible?" she asked. "Friar Tim? Hey, that guy's name is Tim. What do you know?" "His enemies certainly think so," said Friar Tim. He lifted the great door knocker and let it fall. A moment later, the door flew open. "I don't want any," boomed Horace the Horrible. "Please, sire," said Friar Tim, "I'm not selling anything. I am sent by your brother, the king." Said Horace. "What does the royal bigwig want now?" Oh, that Horace, he is a big-looking guy. "He sent you this," said Friar Tim aside and stood there a minuet. "What?" roared Horace. "Why, that's a child." "Precisely," said the friar. "It is your niece, Minuet. The king has the flu. He asks that you look after Minuet until he is well." "That's impossible," blustered Horace. "I've dragons to slay, armies to vanquish." "Sorry," said Friar Tim. He gave Minuet a little push, goodbye, and then he left. "But this can't be!" shouted Horace. Minuet stared at the high stone walls and leering gargoyles. It was nothing like home. She sniffled. Horace glared at her. Minuet began to sob. "Great galloping gargoyles," Horace bellowed. "What's wrong?" "I miss my daddy," said Minuet. "Oh, daddy fatty," said Horace. "I can do anything that swellhead can do. Come, let's slay a dragon." He lifted Minuet up on his horse and rode off. At last, they heard a roar. "Here's a dragon now!" shouted Sir Horace. "Down you go!" He lowered Minuet from the saddle. She grabbed his sword. "What are you doing?" he cried, his eyes on the approaching dragon. "Give me that back! Hurry!" Minuet picked up a stick and put it in Horace's hand. Holding the stick high, Sir Horace charged. Flames burst from the dragon's mouth and smoke filled the air. There was a great deal of roaring and shrieking. Then a slightly scorched Sir Horace charged back out of the smoke. "This is a stick!" Horace shouted. "I know," said Minuet. "I could have been killed," Sir Horace roared. "So could the dragon," said Minuet. "And I still miss my daddy." "Oh, daddy ratty," said Horace, blustered. "Your daddy couldn't fight a dragonfly. Come on, let's vanquish an army. He scooped up Minuet and galloped off again. Over hill and dale they rode until they came upon a vast army. Ah, here we go, said Sir Horace. He lowered Minuet down to the ground and raced down into the valley. Minuet had heard clashing swords and thundering hooves. She saw the great army flee into the hills. Sir Horace rode back with a flagstaff in his hand. For you, my lady, he said. Minuet unfurled the flag and looked at it. Uncle, she said, this is our flag. You just vanquished our army. Sir Horace lifted his visor and squinted. Oh, drat, he murmured. I miss my daddy, Minuet sniffed. Daddy schmatty, said Horace. Your daddy couldn't vanquish an army of ants. Let's go find some damsels in distress. East and west and north and south they rode to the farthest corners of the kingdom, but there were no damsels to be found. Discouraged, Horace sat down beneath a tree for some lunch and a short nap. While Horace snored, Minuet gazed at a tall stone tower in the distance. Away from her uncle she crept. Across the meadow she ran, and up those stairs she climbed. Help, help, Minuet cried. Sir Horace sprang to his feet. A damsel, he cried. Fear not, my lady. Help is on the way. He leapt to his horse, charged across the meadow, scaled the tower walls, and hurled himself through the window. You could have taken the stairs, said Minuet. Sir Horace stared. You, he cried. I thought I heard a damsel in distress. Uncle, said Minuet, I am a damsel in distress. Horace looked doubtful. How so? He asked. I miss my daddy, shouted Minuet. Oh, daddy waddy, shouted Sir Horace. He grabbed Minuet's hand and dragged her back out to the meadow. Just tell me one thing your daddy does better than I do, he demanded. He hugs, said Minuet. He what? Sir Horace choked. He hugs, said Minuet. That's all I want. Not a dragon, not an army, not a damsel in distress, just a hug. Poof, said Horace. We can't have that. I'm far too hard and prickly for hugging. You could take your armor off, said Minuet. Take my... Are you mad? I haven't had my armor off in public since I was a knave. But my daddy, said Minuet, and she began. Horace rolled his eyes. Oh, all right, he barked. He took off his helmet, his breastplate, his mail suit, and his gloves. He squinted in the sun. I don't think I like this, he said. Sit down, said Minuet. Sir Horace sat. Minuet crawled into his lap. Now, hug. Very carefully, Horace put his arms around her. Minuet snuggled up against his chest. Thank you, Uncle Horace, she said. Sir Horace blushed. No one will ever call me Horace the Horrible again. Is that so bad? Said Minuet. Sir Horace considered. Without his armor on, he could hear the birds singing and smell the meadow flowers. He could feel the sun on his shoulders and the cool breeze in his hair. He hugged Minuet tighter. Maybe not, he said. That one was a cute one. Little Minuet, her dad's sick, so her uncle, Horace the Horrible, is watching her. Let's see. Lisa out there says that joke I told about the night shift was so bad it was funny. They're mostly like that, isn't that a shame? When a knight in armor was killed in battle, what sign would they put on his grave? Rust in peace. Huh? Rust, because the armor... Yeah, that was a bad one. Even I felt terrible telling that one. It was so bad. All right. We still have more stories to go. Who wants to hear some more stories? I think I hear you. I think I hear you all out there in Charlestown and all over the place. Well, let's see. We've got several to choose from. Here's one This one's called The Storybook Night. This one is by Helen Doherty and Thomas Doherty, and the subtitle is Even Dragons Love a Good Story. So this is The Storybook Night. It's a book about a story, or a story about a book. This one rhymes, so these are fun to read and fun to listen to as well. Leo was a gentle knight in thought and word and deed. While other knights liked fighting, Leo liked to sit and read. He was kind to every creature. He wouldn't hurt a fly. When Mom and Dad said, "Knights must fight," he couldn't quite see why. One morning, Leo's parents said they'd like to have a chat. There was nothing wrong with reading, but he couldn't just do that. They'd seen an ad that morning in their favorite magazine. A dragon needed taming. Leo wasn't very keen. "Nonsense, you'll enjoy it. It'll stop you getting bored. In case the dragon's scary, here's a brand new shield and sword." Leo packed some sandwiches and lots of books, of course. Then with a sigh, he saddled up on Ned, his faithful horse. He hadn't traveled far, though the sun had risen high, when suddenly a fearsome creature swooped down from the sky. It had a lion's body, but it had an eagle's wings. "A griffin!" marveled Leo, who had read about such things. "Come on," snarled the griffin. "I dare you to a fight." "I'd rather not," said Leo. "It wouldn't be quite right. I've got my brand new sword with me, so I'd be bound to win it. But how about a story with some pictures of you in it?" "Yes, please," the griffin nodded. He was really rather vain. So Leo read a book to him once, twice, and then again. "It's yours to keep," said Leo as he clambered back on Ned. "Oh, thank you," cried the griffin, as he bowed his noble head. Leo rode for hours, though the heat was quite excessive. Extreme. Then stopped to have his picnic by a welcome mountain stream. "Who dares trespass on my bridge?" inquired a hungry troll. "It's only me," said Leo. "Would you like to share my roll?" The troll just laughed. "No thanks," he growled. "I think I'll just eat you." But Leo said, "My armor's pretty difficult to chew." "I've got a brilliant book, though, if you'll hang on just a minute. It's full of juicy goats, and look, it's even got you in it." That sounds good," the troll replied, his hunger put on hold. So Leo read the story, with some changes, truth be told. "It's yours to keep," said Leo as he clambered back on Ned. "Well, thank you," cried the grateful troll, and bowed his heavy head. Leo kept on riding through that long, hot afternoon. At last he came upon a town as empty as the moon. The leaves were burnt on every tree, the grass and flowers, too. He'd seen some messy streets before, but this was something new. Faces peered from windows, folks too scared to go outside. He trotted bravely onward. "Hey, watch out!" the people cried. What he saw around the corner set him shaking in his shoes. The most enormous dragon, who'd just woken from a snooze. The dragon raised his eyebrows. "Not another pesky knight." "Don't worry," Leo told him. "I haven't come here to fight. I've got the most amazing book with loads of dragons in it. But it's going in the trash unless you clean up right this minute." Oh, don't do that, the dragon cried. I'll clean it up right now, but I'm really bad at tidying. Perhaps you'll show me how? So Leo taught the dragon how to shovel, scoop, and clear. And one by one the townsfolk all began to lose their fear. Now, can I have my story? Begged the dragon on his knees. So Leo read the book 6 times. A dragon's hard to please. It's yours to keep, said Leo as he clambered back on Ned. Oh, thank you, cried the dragon, as he bowed his scaly head. When Leo reached his home at last, the cheers were long and loud. His parents hugged him very tight. Well done, you've made us proud. Now Leo is a hero. His parents have agreed. He doesn't have to fight at all. He's left in peace to read. That was a fun one. Little Leo solved all of his problems just by reading stories to the big dragons. I don't know. Do you think that reading stories to big scary creatures might get them to be quiet? I don't know. It could have worked. It could have worked. It worked in that story. All right. Who else do we have here? We have Julie. Hello, Julie. Thanks for joining us here for Mr. Tim's Story Time. Always a pleasure to have you. Hey, we still got a couple more stories. Still time for more shout-outs. Don't forget, like and share these. We also have our own YouTube channel. So if you miss any story times or you want to see some of the other ones, you can go back and visit those. Just go to YouTube and type in Charlestown Storytime. It's that easy. That simple. Speaking of simple, who likes to laugh? Huh? Who likes to laugh? Huh? Hey, what was Camelot famous for? You know, Camelot was this vast kingdom that King Arthur presided over. The beauty of Camelot was his estate and his land and so forth in jolly old England. Camelot was famous for its nightlife. Huh? Get it? The nightlife? They like the nightlife. They like to boogie. That's what they did there. I can tell you that. Do you guys like the singing? Because we can do more songs. Ezio says he doesn't like the singing. Ezio's not in charge. He's not the one who decides if we sing or not. Be quiet, you. All right. Let's see what else we have. You guys want some more stories? More stories? All right, more stories. This one is called Nick and the Nasty Knight. And this one is by Uta Kraus. Ezio doesn't like Nick the Nasty Knight either. Nick and the Nasty Knight. That's Sir Nestor. Sir Nestor the Nasty was the meanest, rottenest, greediest knight you can imagine. So wicked was he that people would run and hide whenever he and his men rode through their village. So scary was he that babies cried just at the sight of his picture. Let's look at that again. See the baby down there crying? They're crying just at the sight of his picture. Bring me your money, Sir Nestor the Nasty bellowed, and woe betide anyone who came empty-handed. Those who did not pay were taken captive and forced to work from morn till night in the dark, dank bowels of the knight's castle. Oh, look at them there going into the village, telling them they got to pay their taxes, pay their money. This is why Nick came to be working for the knight. His mother owed Sir Nestor a lot of money. Though Nick's family was very poor, and the knight was so rich that even his toilet was made of pure gold, why, the nasty knight barely used his own legs to walk anywhere. Instead, he had servants who carried him all around. Nick could only dream of such a comfortable life. Instead, he had to get up before sunrise, chop wood, fetch 50 buckets of water. Look at him, he's chopping wood, fetching water, doing all those dishes. And feed the pets. And once he finished, he started over again at the beginning until he fell into bed completely exhausted by nightfall. Every day was like this, without a single break. But something had to change. One night, Nick decided that it was time to escape from the castle. When everyone was asleep, he snuck away, armed with a rope and a bow and an arrow. He had not gone far when suddenly he heard footsteps. "The guards! I must hide and fast," Nick said to himself. Quickly, he slipped through the nearest door into what he thought was a closet, just in time. Nick took a look around his hiding place. He had to pinch himself. This was no closet. Instead, he had landed in the nasty knight's treasure chamber. Piled high before him were jewels and gems, silver and gold, treasures from all over the world. They shone so brightly that Nick had to close his eyes. Suddenly he realized that the bright light did not actually come from the treasure. No, it came from a single gold coin that lay in the middle of the room. Just as Nick picked it up, he heard voices right outside the door. "The guards! Look at all that treasure in there." As fast as he could, he hurried to the window, tied his rope to an arrow, and shot it over a tree on the opposite side of the moat. After he'd fastened his end of the rope to the window frame, he made his way, hand over hand, across the other side. All the while, the very, very hungry crocodile snapped greedily at his heels. But Nick was much too quick for that. At last he reached the other side and ran toward the pitch-black forest. His knees were knocking, so frightened was he, but he wanted to get away as far as possible from the nasty night. Soon he was deep inside the woods. When he was too tired to take another step, he lay down beneath a bush and immediately fell asleep. In the middle of the night, someone grabbed him by the shoulder and pulled him up into the air. It wasn't Nestor the Nasty and his guards, but it was just as bad. 5 rough-looking robbers bent over him and laughed, a blood-curdling robber's laugh. "A good catch," yelled one. "He can chop our wood, fetch our water, feed our animals, and wash our dishes." The robber chief grinned in delight and showed all of his missing teeth. Then he noticed the coin. "And what's that shining in his hand?" he shouted. The robber who held Nick shook him so hard that the coin fell to the ground. "Gold! Real gold!" the robber shrieked in delight. "Where did you get that?" the chief roared. From Sir Nestor the Nasty," Nick answered quickly. "And there's a lot more gold where this came from." "Really?" The robber's eyes gleamed greedily. "Then show us the way to this treasure trove, boy." "Only if you promise me my freedom," said Nick, "and a small purse of gold pieces." "Agreed," the robbers growled. And so they all crept back to the castle and made their way almost unnoticed across the moat. The robbers couldn't believe their eyes when they entered the treasure chamber. Never in their lives had they seen so much gold. And that says something. "It's all ours!" they cheered. "And I am free," said Nick. "Oh, no, you're not," shouted the chief with a mean twinkle in his eyes. "We tricked you. We still need you to chop our wood, fetch our water, do our dishes, and carry our treasure chests." They laughed their mean laugh and plunged their hands into the piles of gold. That was their last straw. Nick ran straight past the robbers to the window and was just about to jump out when the robber chief grabbed him by the collar and shouted, "Oh, no, you don't!" What happened next was even worse. The chief's words echoed loudly through the castle, and in no time, Sir Nestor and his knights were wide awake. With their swords in hand, they stormed into the treasure chamber. "Robbers!" they cried, and a wild battle began. To draw his sword, the robber chief had to let go of Nick. If only he hadn't. Quick as a flash, Nick swiped the glowing coin from the chief's hand and leaped out the window. "He's got the coin!" yelled the chief. "Catch him!" "The coin? Surely not my magic coin," bellowed Nestor the Nasty. "Seize him, knights!" But because none of his men moved fast enough for Sir Nestor, he squeezed through the window right after the robbers. They all dangled from the rope, Sir Nestor the Nasty, the 5 robbers, and Nick. Then the rope began to groan and creak beneath their weight. Then it groaned and creaked even more. Nick knew what would happen next. Suddenly there was a great rash and a splash, 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 splash! And the nasty knight and the robbers tumbled headfirst into the water, where hungry crocodiles were already waiting for them. Now things went very fast. What happened next was quite a big surprise. The moment the coin hit the water, there was a great hissing sound. And in a flash, Sir Nestor and the 5 robbers had all turned into crocodiles. When the people up in the castle saw what had happened, they began to cheer. Without the nasty knight, they were once again free. Even the crocodiles in the moat smiled happily. You see, they were all lonely lady crocodiles, and Mel fell in love with the 6 gentlemen. From that day on, Nick made sure that at last his poor mother and his family had enough to eat every day. And not just them. He also made sure that the crocodiles never went hungry again. The magical crocodile coin, though, had vanished deep, deep down at the bottom of the murky moat. And if you or anyone else hasn't found it, it's probably still there. I like the end of that one. So perhaps someday, if you ever come across a castle with a moat outside it, take a peek inside. There might be a coin in there. Okay, we have another visit. Hey, Amanda Jo. Hello, Amanda Jo. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's right. I was reminded, if you do want to check out our YouTube page, all you have to do is just go to YouTube and just type in Charlestown Library. That's it. You'll find all of our great videos and old stories and so forth. You guys want one more? One more story about a brave knight. This one is called The Bravest Knight. And this is one of our old-time favorite children's authors. Of course, it's Mercer Meyer. And Mercer Meyer, or is it Mayer? I don't know. I've never known. I've just always seen it in print, never heard it pronounced. So we'll say Mayer. Mercer Meyer wrote a great book, and it's called The Bravest Knight. But I have another question for you, another joke. What has 6 legs, 4 ears, and a suit of armor? 6 legs, 4 ears, and a suit of armor. Does that sound really scary to you? 6 legs, 4 ears, and a suit of armor. It's just a knight on a horseback. Get it? There's 2 legs on the knight. Okay, all right, you'll figure it out. All right, so one final story. This one is called The Bravest Knight, Mercer Meyer. I wish I lived 1,000 years ago. There would be beautiful castles, kings and queens, good knights, bad knights, fair ladies in danger, evil dragons from the mountains, and a giant troll that roars and eats anything. I could work for the bravest knight in the kingdom. I'd be his squire. I would shine his armor, sharpen his sword, and take care of his horse. I would wear a hat with a fuzzy feather on it and carry a slingshot. The knight and I would wander through the countryside in search of adventure. We would rescue fair ladies from bad knights. Ooh, look at all the fair ladies. We would fight the evil dragon from the mountains. Sometimes I would rescue the knight. Oh. And sometimes the knight would rescue me. We would make the evil dragon and bad knights pick flowers for the king and the queen. The king and the queen would ask us to save the kingdom from the terrible giant troll. We would ride to the giant troll's castle and call out for him to fight. Trolls come out only at night, so someone would have to go and get him. I would guard the animal. The battle would last all day. When night came, it would be very quiet. Finally, the winner would come out. Who do you think it's going to be? Uh-oh! Look who the winner of the fight was! That big scary troll. I'm glad I don't live 1,000 years ago. Didn't see that one coming, did we? We just thought, oh, the knight's going to go in and beat that troll. But I think that if I was told I had to go and fight a troll, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty brave. But if it was a troll like that, I'd probably turn around and ask a whole army of knights to go and fight that troll. What about you, huh? Yeah, it's okay sometimes to pick a battle like that and just say, no thanks. So hey, that's all the stories that I've got for today's Mr. Tim Story Time. It looks like it is a beautiful day out there. And you know what, kids? It's supposed to be all rainy and nasty starting tomorrow for a few days. So go out, enjoy the sunshine. Make sure you're staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water. And come visit us at the library. Have Mom or Dad bring you to the library. We are open. Like I said, we're allowing 8 people in at a time. But we've got a lot of kids' books, a lot of new kids' books for you. And don't forget to join my good friend, Mr. Brian. I believe Mr. Brian is going to be doing our story time still again on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Mr. Brian's fun. He's got a lot of classic stories that he loves to share with everyone. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good week and take care of yourselves. Be safe out there, all right?